Watch what you're doing. Look out where you're going. Did you say that to your kids when they were little? I sure did. Why did I say that? Well, obviously, you don't want them to wander out into, say, the street. They may get hurt. You want them to be aware of their surroundings. You want them to know what's going on so they can respond and react appropriately. This fourth do-it-yourself lesson is about intentionally setting your gaze. We're going to recognize where you habitually let your gaze fall and how that affects your posture, your awareness, and your mindset. And then we'll practice some exercises that help correct that old habit. Most of us are surprised to learn that we habitually look down. When we're walking, we do that for safety. But the problem is, too often, we habitually look down, and then that's where we keep looking down, even after we've already answered the question of, is this safe? Is this level? Is there anything that I might trip over? I got this yardstick, and I'm going to try to show you to just imagine if you sit down and you're getting ready to do something. Are you habitually looking down? And what happens when you do that? So I'm going to use this yardstick to help illustrate the point. When you sit down, say this yardstick is your gaze. This is the level of your eyes. If you sit down and you normally are in the habit of letting your gaze fall down, whether you're bending your head or not, your eyes are looking down. Notice where the yardstick is now looking. The yardstick is my gaze. This is leveling my gaze, and this is where my gaze falls when it looks down. You might be surprised to know that most of us are in the habit of letting our gaze fall down. And that has a negative impact on not only our physical structure, our musculature, but also on our outlook and our optimism and our engagement in the external world. So you want to start correcting where your gaze habitually falls. And it's going to feel like a habit. And so it's going to feel natural and normal. And looking forward at eye level may feel awkward and artificial at first. But if you get that habit ingrained into you versus the habit of gaze falling down, your outlook and your perspective on life, as well as your structural integrity, will all improve. So, step one is recognizing what a level gaze is. Once you've determined that, keeping your eyes forward, we'll call that neutral. Begin to walk around in the area. And where do you notice your gaze falls? Notice if it changes as you're walking past people. If it changes when you change directions. Does your gaze then go back to its habit? And do you need to correct that gaze and lift your gaze? Just pay attention to where you are habitually putting your gaze, and then intentionally go back, correct it, and bring it up to eye level. Now, start again. And if you're with a group, intentionally make eye contact as you pass. Intentionally notice what is ahead of you. What's the artwork on the wall? What does the furniture look like? What are the colors that you see? Notice the things that are at your eye level now that you are intentionally walking around the space, maintaining your gaze. Step two, grab a partner. Determine which one of you is going to be the participant and which one of you will be the observer. Then, as a pair, determine a path that you're going to walk. And the participant is going to make an estimate of the number of steps they think it will take them to walk from, say, the beginning, point A, to the end, point B. The observer will notate that number of steps somewhere, and then will be observing. The participant will then begin to walk as they're going to walk that path. As they walk, they'll begin to recite something out loud from memory. And that can be anything. It can be the birthday song, it can be a biblical verse, it can be a poem, whatever. Something that you can remember and repeat over and over until you get to point B. Once you begin, you start reciting out loud. The observer starts counting the number of steps. And they're going to be watching whether or not your gaze falls down or remains level. Then when you finish, switch, and the person who was the observer will be the participant, and the person who was the participant will be the observer. Then you'll give some feedback. Were the number of steps that they estimated close to their actual number of steps? Maybe they got it right on the head. What did you notice about their gaze? What did they notice about their gaze? And how did that change their estimate versus the actual number of steps? Sometimes as we intentionally set our gaze at eye level and we're looking at something specifically, our gait will naturally elongate and expand, and it'll take us actually fewer steps to cover the amount of space that we thought it would. And that's a good thing. An expanding gait is a good sign of mental and physical health. So we kind of fall into the habit, kind of like letting our gaze fall down. We get into the habit of taking smaller and smaller steps, and we want to push against that as much as we can. So if you can expand your gaze eye level, hopefully that will have the same effect on your gait, which will expand, making you take fewer steps to cover an equal distance. Now, if you're working alone, you can modify these instructions. Just remember that your intention is to always figure out where your habitual gaze falls and how that habitual gaze impacts your gait and your presence in your environment. You can set goals for yourself, like maybe you're running an errand and you think it's going to take you X number of steps to get from your car to the building. And then just give it a shot and count. Now, you're not going to be occupying your brain with some other activity that you've memorized. So there's always the risk that we will kind of try to adopt our gait to make that number. That's kind of the benefit of having someone watch you. But it's still a valuable exercise to try when you're out in your life. Make a mental note of what you observed. How many people did you pass? How many grocery carts did you pass? Then from there you can specify it even more. How many people with blonde hair did you pass? How many people with brown hair did you pass? How many adults? How many children? How many men? How many women? And see if you can recall as many details about objects that were within your visual field, setting your gaze at eye level. And what do you notice? The more you practice this, the easier it will become, and the more you'll be taking in your environment in the present moment that you're in it, versus thinking about what you're going to do next or thinking about what you just did. As you continue to correct raising your gaze to eye level, let me know in the comments section, what do you notice? What do you come in contact with? You'll probably be surprised. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.